Hi, and welcome to Book Chat with Julie. I'm Julie with the Argenta Branch Library, and we're part of the Lehman Library System in North Little Rock, Arkansas, and welcome to the November Book Chat. I told you last month that I was going to take you somewhere magical, somewhere to prepare you for the holidays that are coming up, but just a magical place. Have you been able to guess where I might be taking you? Meet me at the lamppost. Does that give a clue? How about this wardrobe? The wardrobe. Have you ever been inside a wardrobe? I have one of my little people that doesn't want to stand up. We'll introduce him in just a minute. So a few months back, I talked about a book that I had read and that I thoroughly enjoy the author, Patti Callahan, and it's the book Becoming Mrs. Lewis. This is the story of C.S. Lewis when he met Joy Davidman and how they fell in love in their life together. When she finished this book, she went on to write Surviving Savannah, which I've also talked about in Book Chat and is probably in my top 5 that I've read this year in 2021. Surviving Savannah, if you haven't read it, I urge you to read it. If you're local, we're not having book club yet because it's an in-person program, but if you're local and you want to read Surviving Savannah or even this one and you want to come to the library, I'll sit at the table and have a private book club with you and we can talk about it. But Becoming Mrs. Lewis. After she finished Surviving Savannah, the Story of Narnia was on her heart. It was in her mind, and you know, as an author, I don't know these things, I'm not an author, but the authors say things just keep nudging you. And so, therefore, she wrote Once Upon a Wardrobe. I pre-ordered this, obviously I got the signed copy, and I have been waiting for this one to come out. It took me a day to read it, and it is the story about Once Upon a Wardrobe. The wardrobe that you see. When my boys were little, I of course read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe to them. When Jacob, who's my producer and my film crew, putting this book chat together, when he was 4, the movie came out. And for probably about 6 months to a year, we were all about Narnia at our house. He was Edmund. He would dress up like Edmund. He's going to kill me for telling this story, but he would dress up like Edmund. And in the story and the movie, both, it stays pretty close to the truth. The White Witch, who's not a good person, she slaps Edmund because he lied to her. And it cuts his lip. So Jacob, when he would dress up like Edmund, he would take the red Sharpie marker every day and he would put a red line because he was Edmund with the cut on the lip. But we did Narnia a lot in our house. We've made movies with Narnia. We played Narnia. This is a wardrobe that I put together, collected all the little people. Turkish Delight is something that they talk a lot about in the book. And we had Turkish Delight, and because it is a hot day as I'm filming this, forgive me for my Turkish Delight, but Turkish Delight at our house was I would make Jell-O, put powdered sugar on it, and that's what we would have for Turkish Delight instead of the candy, but we would have the finger Jell-O, and it is quickly melting, so I'm just going to slide it back here. But Turkish Delight was something that we had every day as dessert after dinner mostly. But the wardrobe, we've had hours and hours and hours playing Narnia, as well as reading and rereading the book and watching the movie. The movie, Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, is available at the library. You can also, on Hoopla and Libby, there's the audiobook. There are, the soundtracks are available on Hoopla. There's just a variety of ways to get your taste of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Once Upon a Wardrobe. Let's talk about it for a minute. It's a story about Meg's Devonshire. and she's a brilliant student at Oxford. She's brilliant with numbers and equations and mysteries of science and physics. She prefers to depend on the facts, except for one. The younger brother, George, who when he was born had a heart defect, and this is in 1950 is when the story is set. He's about 8 years old. He has a heart defect, and he's not going to live very long. You find out that I'm not telling you anything I'm not spoiling anything. You're going to find that out at the very first chapter. But he becomes captivated because he has just read the new release in 1950 of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And so he is obsessed, and he realizes that Mr. Lewis teaches where his sister is going to school. And so he begs her to meet him and to ask the question, where does Narnia come from? Where is Narnia? Is Narnia a real place? So she hem-haws around, and she goes and meets Mr. Lewis. And he proceeds to tell her 7 to 8 stories of his life. And she gets a little frustrated towards the end of the book, because he's not answering her question about where does Narnia come from. But you're going to learn so much about C.S. Lewis, who is Jack Lewis, and his brother Warnie, and how they grew up. And trust me, when you get to the end, it all comes together. Isn't that a great story? And that's all I'm going to tell you about the book, because I don't want to give anything away, because there are some things at the end that you'll be glad for. And you might even be a little sad, but you'll be glad. One of the quotes that I have read from C.S. Lewis is that even fairy tales have bad parts. There's also a quote in part of the interview with Patti Callahan, and she had an interview with Douglas Gershom. Douglas Gershom is one of Joy Davidson's sons, which is C.S. Lewis's stepson. And his quote about the book is that I advise you to read this book, then wait for a while, then read it again. For while it may not be Narnia, but there is magic in it. So, going into the holiday season in Narnia, it's always winter but never Christmas through most of the book. You have to read the book. We have the book available at the library if you want to reread it to familiarize yourself. There's the movie, Once Upon a Wardrobe. Becoming Mrs. Lewis is available at the library. And one of the other quotes in this book is that reason is how we get to the truth, but imagination is how we find meaning. So I hope you enjoy this little trip down memory lane for me of going back to Narnia. Narnia is, again, very much part of our house. When we get the Christmas tree out and get the ornaments out, there's going to be some Narnia ornaments on there, as well as our wardrobe. And if it looks a little dusty, it is. I did have to get into the closet to get the wardrobe. How about that? So I hope you'll travel down and go down to visit Narnia as you prepare for the holidays. Another couple things that I was going to show you of getting ready for the holidays. It's November, Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever holiday you celebrate. Over the next 2 to 3 months, there's something to celebrate all the time. And my favorite is Meet Me in St. Louis. Some of you might not have even known that there was a book by Sally Benson. And she grew up in St. Louis, and I have not been to her house, but I've driven by her house where she grew up in St. Louis, and it is my absolute favorite. I can probably repeat it word for word in each song. I watch it all year round. It's also a comfort movie, and we all have those comfort things that we watch when we just need to kind of veg out and have comfort. And they say watching old sitcoms over and over is a comfort. Meet Me in St. Louis is one of my favorites, and it is available through the library, and the soundtrack is available on Hoopla. Again, many other ways to get in. And going back a little bit further is another story of four sisters, and it's Little Women. This is a classic, obviously, and you can read the book. How long has it been since you've read Little Women? So you've got Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. And in the library, there are multiple. There's the new Little Women movie that came out in 2019. You've got one that came out in 2080. You've got a DVD that was the PBS series, so there's a couple episodes on that. My favorite Little Women movie is actually the 1949 movie with June Allison, Peter Lawford, Elizabeth Taylor, and Margaret O'Brien. And I don't have a copy. I don't even think it's available to purchase, but I usually have it on my DVR, and I will watch the movie channel over the next couple months. Anytime that it's on, then I'll watch it and I'll record it, and I'll just keep watching it, and then I save it again for next year. So as we get into going into Thanksgiving, I hope that you are thankful for maybe getting to be with your family this year. I may be able to be with friends that we didn't get to see last year. Doing some of those holiday traditions over the next few months. Again, parades and things like that didn't happen in 2020, but they are opening up and being able to happen in 2021. So any of these, if I can help you find a copy or help you download to Hoopla or to Libby, Access 360, anything that the library offers, come into the library. We're open and we're still doing curbside. So again, if you're not comfortable coming into the library, give me a call. I'll get the books ready for you, and we'll come out and bring them out to your car. Hopefully by springtime, we might be able to have some in-person programs, and I'll be anxious to see a lot of you that are local back in the library at some of our programs by the springtime. So I hope you enjoy the holiday season. I think we're supposed to have some crisp, cool air here in the next few days. I'm waiting for it. Maybe my Turkish delight won't melt straight out of the refrigerator as we get ready for the holidays. So take an adventure into the wardrobe, and you might find a fairy tale. You're never too old for fairy tales, and C.S. Lewis even says you'll eventually be old enough to read fairy tales again. So enjoy some fairy tales and some magical settings just to take your mind off the busyness of the holidays and the busyness of 2021. And I will see you in December for book chat. We're going to travel to the beach, or we're going to travel to Christmas. We're traveling to the beach, or we're traveling to Christmas. That's kind of a hint as to some of the reads that I'm going to talk about in the December book chat. So thank you for once again joining me for Narnia and for another episode of Book Chat with Julie. See you in December.